What's going on, everybody? I'm Jeff St. Pierre, and this is episode 122 of the Adult Education Podcast. This week, I'm speaking with country artist Erin Kinsey. First off, thank you so much for checking out my show. If this is your first time joining the Adult Education Podcast, I hope you like what you hear and you stick with us. I would really appreciate it if you would take a second to leave a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're using, and feel free to share the show with your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to inspire some new people to check it out. So I'm always impressed when I meet people who knew what they wanted to do when they were young. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life until I was well into college. Hell, I still don't even know if I'm doing what I want to do with my life at this point. This week's guest knew from the age of 11 that all she wanted to do was write songs and perform them for people. I caught up with country music artist Erin Kinsey. The now 22-year-old has been living and working in Nashville since she was 17 years old. She signed a record deal a year or so ago and has been working to get that breakthrough hit. Now, personally, I think she's one of the best young talents the country industry has right now, and I am positive that we're going to be hearing a lot more from her in the near future. In this conversation, we talk about what it's like growing up in Texas and wanting to be a performer. We discuss how the pandemic impacted her career and how she's grown since having her first taste of success with her first single. I hope you enjoy my chat with Erin Kinsey. Hi there. Where are you?
I am on the way so I have a write at 11, but my very first vocal coach I ever worked with is kind of by where my write is. So funny enough, I remember working with her when she was pregnant with her first daughter. I was taking lessons like after elementary school. So this was a while ago, but I just went and had dinner with her and her family like a couple weeks ago, and her daughter is now like 10 and is a big fan of my music. And it literally was the most full circle moment. So I put together this bag and like have a sweatshirt and like all the merch that I had at my house. I like threw it in a bag, and I was like, I'm going to take this to her because that's literally the most precious full circle crazy thing ever.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Thanks. It's my good deed for the day, I guess. But yeah, so I had to leave a little bit earlier, like get on my way then to be able to make it all work. But yeah.
Well, let me throw this out to you because, like, if you want to reschedule this, we can do that.
Oh,
like,
no, we're fine.
I just didn't want you to feel like you had to do it in this moment while you're doing other things, you know?
Oh, you know what? I've learned that there's always a lot of moving parts. You just make them all work together. So it's all good.
That is so true in this business, and I'm glad that you've picked this up. I mean, I want to say so quickly, but you've been doing this for so long that it's not really that quickly. Like, you've been doing this business for longer than most people have.
You know, it's really crazy to think that far back because I typically don't. I feel like I moved in 2018, and that's typically when my story starts in my brain. But yeah, I was taking vocal lessons when I was 12 years old, and it was because it's the only thing my parents knew what to do with me. They're like, okay, well, you like to sing, I guess we'll put you in some lessons or something, because neither of them are musical. But it is crazy to think back to like the first few songs I wrote and the first few songs I learned and how long ago that really was.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think because you're only 22 years old, which to you may seem like, wow, I'm 22 years old, but to the rest of us, you're only 22. But like you said, you've been doing this for so long. Like I think was 11 years old, you kind of made the commitment to say like, I'm going to be an artist. This is what I'm going to do.
I got a guitar for Christmas, classic story. And the second I learned that I could learn songs that I heard on the radio and sing them and perform them for my parents, and then I could even write my own, it was over. Nothing else hit me and made me excited the way that did. I had been in every sport, in every club, did everything. My parents wanted me to be busy. So I was busy, but I didn't love anything the way I loved that. It just felt like being busy until I learned that. I mean, I would be so excited for my guitar lessons, my vocal lessons, anything to do with it. I was obsessed.
Oh, it's so cool. And you mentioned your parents weren't musical. So when you were younger, did you just have this like energy? Like, were you a performer? Like my daughter, you met my daughter about a year ago. I mean,
yeah.
She's going to be a performer. Like she's got this energy about her where I'm like, definitely. There's going to be a stage involved. Yes.
You can't help but just like stare at her. You're like, she's so cute, but just like the way that she moves, I totally get it.
Yeah. So like, I feel like at some point we're going to have to put her in a dance class or put a guitar in her hand or something. So with you growing up, like how did your parents know, like, okay, we've got to get Erin into everything we can. We've got to get her to work this energy out. Like, what are we going to do?
So, I was in dance. I sang at like the church choir thing. But I wasn't, you know what, honestly, my younger sister has such a big personality that I probably was pretty outgoing, but compared to her, I was not. So it's actually very funny to my family that I'm the one doing all this stuff, and even with the social media things and all that, because they really thought it would be her. But she just signed a deal, I guess, I don't know, to go play D1 tennis
Oh,
at
wow.
Steve Austin. So she's super athletic, and she is really outgoing still, like has all the friends, all the things. But I think what's crazy was literally just my love for the craft. And I mean, even with the social media stuff, it didn't come super natural to me at first, but I was like, you know what? If this helps me get to be able to play on stage, if this helps me get to write songs every day, I am all about it. I will learn how to love it. And so it's been cool because the actual playing guitar, the actual writing songs has always been the thing for me, not getting the attention, not wanting to be seen or dressing up. Like all of those things have at times felt like the price you pay, but it's literally just the love for the craft.
So 11 years old, you get this guitar, you decide this is it. Like, I'm going to write, I'm going to play, I'm going to do all these things. Now you grew up outside of Dallas, right? In Texas?
Yeah, Rockwall.
Yeah. It was northeast of Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay. Google Maps treated me well today.
Oh,
So
yeah, he's a geography boy.
I feel like growing up in Texas, if you decide you want to be a songwriter, you obviously have a love for country music, it can be a great place to be, but I also imagine it's a difficult place to be. Like if you're trying to break your way, and especially at a young age like you, I'm sure you were playing some places where they were like, who is this chick? Like, what is this?
Oh, for sure. For sure. You know what? I was just talking with I don't know if you ever met Madison Kozak, but we went and
No.
got bar taco margaritas last night. And we were talking about this because she's from Canada and there's kind of a similar world there. There's actually an entire Opry circuit in Texas that's all based off of the Grand Ole Opry. And it's a variety show. They have a house band, and they are, I mean, there's probably 15 of them. Like they all around. So that was kind of the first place I really played. I mean, my first show was Rockwell's Got Talent, and that tells you everything you need to know about it, really. But I ended up getting third, and the girl who got first went on to go on The Voice, and she killed it. But she was a couple years older than me and knew about these Opries, so she told me about them, and I started to go play them. And on the weekends, my family would go get Dickie's barbecue, and then I'd go play my couple songs with the Opry, and we'd go home. And it was so cool to be able to have a scene of music because, like you said, being in Texas, like the idea of doing music wasn't quite as foreign as I think it would have been in some other areas of the country. There is a whole country music scene, and Miranda Lambert's hometown was only a couple hours away from mine, so people were aware that people did that. I think they probably didn't think people like me did that, but they were like, yeah, some people do that sometimes. So definitely more welcoming. And I mean, I obviously had the most supportive parents in the world. They never let me in on how absolutely ridiculous it is to let me do this. I mean, I talked to them the other day. When I moved, I was technically 17 when I moved. And at the time, it was like, of course this is happening. Like, what else would I do? But now I look at them like, how did y'all let this happen? Like, what kind of parents? I'm like, were y'all not terrified? And now I know that they were, but they were just literally doubled up on their prayers for a while.
Going back to Texas for a second, I'm always fascinated by it too, because there really is a whole different world of country music in Texas. Like, and I think about it from a venue standpoint too. I mean, there's just a million different places to play. And whereas like me living in Baltimore, if I were going to do like a really big show in this area, I'd be thinking like, oh, I'd love to go do Madison Square Garden in New York or one of those big arenas. But like in Texas, that big place could be Floor's Country Store. Like, and you've got like so many of them like that, where it's like, that's the legendary place that I want to play as a Texas artist.
Totally. And there's actually one, and I mean, definitely more sentimental than, capacity wise or media wise or anything. But there was a venue in my hometown in Rockwall. It's like where everybody went to go line dance. And I got to headline a show there about a year and a half ago. And I freaked out. Like, I was like, this is amazing. I'm playing at Southern Junction. Like, I can't believe it. Like, and you like make your own steaks and stuff there. And I was like, people are going to be making their steaks while I'm playing my songs. And it was such a big, genuine moment. But you're right. It's far from Madison Square Garden. It's far from even having like a huge capacity. Like, it literally is just like, this is the place that people go to have a fun Friday night in my hometown, and I'm going to get to play it. And that was so fun. You know, like one of my other things like that, and you're going to laugh, but Rockwall, Texas is divided by a highway, and you have the north side and the south side, and it's Friday night lights all over that thing. Like, you get half priced everything if they win the football game. Like, literally, it's amazing. But they have a rival game every year, and it's Rockwall versus Rockwall Heath. And I'm like, I would love to sing the national anthem at that. And that is a genuine want in my heart. Like, I got to play the Opry. I got to fly to London. I've gotten to do all these cool things. And I'm like, but I have not sang the anthem at the rival game yet. And that is still on my bucket list.
Wait, who do we have to call? I mean, you went to one of those schools, I'm assuming,
know.
right?
Yeah, I went to Rockwall Heath.
Okay.
I'm a Hawk. I literally told my manager last year, I was like, can we make this happen? And the children's choir did it. I was like, okay. So I have to be a child and in the choir. But I think like I can get on in a couple years. We'll see. Apparently it's, something that a lot of people want to do.
Did you hear the Carly Pierce story recently about the Kentucky Derby?
No.
So Carly's from Kentucky, famously, and she was being interviewed by somebody, and I don't know how it came up, but somebody asked her, like, have you ever sang the national anthem at the Kentucky Derby? And she was like, no, but if you know someone, let's make it happen. She got a call like later that week from the head of the Kentucky Derby, was like, I would like to invite you to sing the national anthem at this year's Kentucky Derby. So
okay.
Whoever
so
that was.
Yeah. We're on the right path. We're doing the thing. Step 1, complete. Put it out in the world.
I'll make some calls. You said Rockwall Heath? I'll do that. Okay.
Yes, work on that. And all of your free time.
I've got it covered. I love to hear too that your parents were so supportive, and I feel like that's a big part of most of these stories, especially when artists such as yourselves have that opportunity when you're younger. You've got this really supportive team behind you that's willing to make those sacrifices for you, and I'm sure that means so much to you as well to know they've got your back.
Oh yeah. Well, and especially once I've moved and heard stories from my friends that don't have similar stories, and what kind of dynamic that adds to them. Like, when I call my parents, I can complain about things going on because I know that they're going to support me. They're not going to say, well, that's why you should have gone to college. So, it means so much. And I try to tell them that as much as I can, remember to, because they've been so supportive for so long. I feel like it's easy to become numb to that or feel like I, deserve that. But the thing is, I really got lucky with that because a lot of my friends don't have that. So yeah, I absolutely feel super, super blessed, and they'll never know how much it's, affected everything.
When you moved, you said you were 17 when you moved to Nashville. What was that like? What was that experience like for you?
I had been coming to town for a few years before that. I started traveling up to Nashville kind of consistently in high school. Like, I started getting in the writing community and had meetings with some people and would go to shows. Now, not being 21 here is a definite factor, but I would do everything I could, which was mostly write. I knew enough people here to where my dad would say, like, if you blow a tire on the side of the road, call this person, they're going to come. And I think he sat down and had some dinners with people and was like, if she calls you and needs you, please go help her. But so I felt like I had a version of a family of some support here. But it was interesting not being in college and not being 21, because it was kind of hard to find people to be friends with that weren't people that I just wrote with. And at the time, it was a lot of mentors writing with me, not peers, because I had a lot of growing to do. It was an interesting world to navigate, but then COVID happened. And then everything was interesting and weird. And then I feel like I came back after that and had turned 21, or was about to. And things felt like it almost felt like I got a reintroduction to Nashville. But that first few 2.5 years were just writing a lot and just loving it and doing it as much as I could in any way I could, whether I meant posting videos on YouTube or on Instagram, and TikTok wasn't around at the time. It was Musical.ly or something like that. But just diving into it because it's all I really could do.
Can I do a random aside right now? I was on your YouTube and I was checking out some of the videos. I'm struggling right now because I know there's different types of videos. Like there was the official music video, which was the gold standard for so long. Then there was the lyric video, which was essentially just the music and lyrics like scrolling through the screen. But now we have like visualizers, which I watched a couple of your visualizers, and those look like real videos to me. Like you're singing, you're acting, like you're performing.
My guy, Robbie, who does all my video stuff, he goes above and beyond. Basically, a visualizer, if we were to translate it, is a low budget music video. Okay. It's like me, Robbie, and one of my friends making sure my hair doesn't look crazy, and we figure it out. Now, music videos are like 20 grand, and they, shut down the back road, and it's crazy, and there's police, and I got to do one like that with Just Drive. Like, it was insane. I couldn't believe how many people were there to make sure that we got this 2.5 minute music video. It blew my mind. I mean, I had a girl, she was like, "What would you like?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, and she's like, "Anything. Coffee from Starbucks, Dunkin', whatever you want, I'm going to grab it for you." And I was like, oh my gosh, the star treatment. Now, I bring coffee to our shoots with Robbie. I'm like, "I got you a latte." But, so that's very low budget, like very DIY. But he goes so above and beyond, and he is so passionate about the music that he puts in way more effort than is required of him and makes them look like full-on music videos. It is insane. We actually just shot a visualizer for one of the songs that's going to be on the EP a couple days ago. Okay, we had this vintage truck that was a friend of a friend of a friend, and we got it, took it to these back roads in Hendersonville, which is a small town like north of Nashville, and we were there. The roads were not shut down, so we were, dealing with people coming every which way, and trying to get shots where nobody was there, and their houses weren't getting in it, and it was definitely a challenge. But we had this vision where we would have the tailgate of the truck down, and I would be sitting on the edge of it while we're going very, very slow down a road, and I'm like performing. But you wonder how you get the camera to capture that, because obviously Robbie wouldn't be in the truck, he would be outside of the truck. This man pulls up with rollerblades, and I'm what are you like a secret skater, like this is gonna be a big thing? He's like never roller skated in his life. He has a helmet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna die on my video shoot. This is not, no, it's not a music video, it's just a visualizer, like chill out. But funny enough, we ended up we're in this part of the road where no one was going to be. There's like no houses around. This big old jacked up black truck pulls around, and it's this high school kid. And he goes, "What are y'all doing out here with rollerblades and girls all dressed up? What is going on?" And we told him our vision, and literally he offered to put the tailgate down on his truck and drive backwards behind our car, I guess. And so Robbie could lay down and get the shot. And we all were convinced this was a guardian angel sent to save Robbie's life because we were trying to figure out how the windy, hilly roads were going to work with the rollerblades, and luckily we didn't have to find out. But that little story is just to say how much he is willing to do to get the shot.
Well, I love Robbie. I love him for you.
I love him as well.
I feel like when I hear stories like that, I know that I made the right decision not going into music, because I have I always have a fear of people watching me. I don't know why. I know it's so silly, but I get so, I do radio. So I essentially sit in a room by myself all day talking to myself. But when I have to be out on stage and introduce a band, my whole body gets hot. I feel so oh my gosh, they're all looking at me. What are they staring at me for?
Yeah, I feel that from time to time. I feel it less on stage and more in scenarios like this, because these poor people are just trying to go home from work, and we're out here, making ourselves definitely known. There's also been times where I filmed TikToks in my car and someone has walked by my car. I have been so violently humbled so many times. It's starting to become a little numb.
Yeah.
And now I just don't care as much. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. This is what I signed up for, apparently. And, you know what you do to get the shot.
I was thinking back to what we were talking about before when you moved to Nashville and how COVID came in and kind of interrupted the process a bit. I'm almost happy for you that it came when it did, Because I know so many artists that started to get their breakthrough moment in, say, 2019, and it's been so much more difficult for them to come back out of the pandemic, because it was like, oh yeah, because on radio in general will be like, oh yeah, I remember you. Where have you gone? It's like, well, they didn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. The world shut down.
Yeah, exactly. The entire world came to a halt. No, I'm definitely thankful for the timing of how things happened, because also I was not into social media before COVID happened. I just wanted to play guitar and
Yeah.
write songs and play. And I didn't realize that there was this opportunity to have such a deeper connection with the fans. And also, I was like 19 at the time. So it's just like a different perspective on life, honestly. But I hadn't released music. I didn't understand like what the potential could be. And so I was forced to lean into it, because if I wasn't doing that, what was I doing? Like taking my dog on another walk around the neighborhood. I didn't need to. So it forced me to like start posting covers, start posting originals more. And I eventually released my first song. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I actually had a moment last night. I was responding to comments just like on my last post, and I've been trying to get better at it, like doing it faster, because typically I'll just have a day where I go and respond to like all the comments from the last like 2 weeks. And it's just a lot. No one needs to do that. So I've been trying to do it a little bit along the way. And it's amazing to me how many of the comments, you never know what you're going to get, but are like girls my age. And they're like, get it, girl. Like, I love that lip color. Like, all of this stuff. And I'm like, wow, it is such a community. Like, it is such the sorority I never had. Like, it's so sweet. And it made me so thankful for times like COVID, where obviously things were horrible. Such horrible things happened, but there's no doubt so much good was able to come out of it in some ways too. And for my good to have been creating this community of people that now, comment on the lipstick color I used in a video and hype up the jumpsuit I wore. I was like, this is so sweet. There's such a sweetness to it.
Yeah, for sure. And I give you credit too. Another reason why I know that I could never be an artist is I cannot read comments of things. I take things so personally, and I know it's dumb because it's just a comment. But even today on the air, I said something on the air and I got an email from someone that I feel like is an ignorant response to what I said on the air. And it's been burning a hole in me ever since I got that email. And I'm just like, I can't even imagine being an artist and looking through the comments of things. I feel like for you, I'm sure you get some weird things here and there, but you're a pretty positive person. You're an upbeat person. I imagine the majority are pretty positive comments. But then there's that one that's going to come through, and it would ruin my whole day. I would ruin everything for me.
Yeah, there's definitely some that hit harder, but more recently, I've tried to take this as an opportunity to make it funny for me, or like make it funny for my sister, give someone a laugh. And so like I had one comment that I posted a picture with my makeup done, and somebody says, wow, you look way better without makeup. And I was like, the picture is me with makeup. So I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever. Makeup is expensive. So I commented that. I was like, you know what? That's fine. But it's funny because none of these people would ever say any of this stuff to your face. They're only saying it because they're behind a computer screen or a phone screen. And my typical rule is if you have nothing else to say, don't say anything at all. But some people feel the need to say it anyways. And it's a them thing. But it is definitely tough. And there have been phases in my life where I have like completely just not looked at all. And that's been the thing I needed then. So also, even when I'm going through comments, I try to gear where my head and my heart is at to see if I need to do that right now, if I need to do it at all. But luckily right now, it's mostly just hype girls, which, I mean, I love looking at that. That's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to have on your side. So you lean into social media during the pandemic, you come out and you end up getting connected to records, which I always think is funny to say because it's a record label, but it's called Records. So you get connected with them. How does that deal all come together?
So you know what? I released a song on DSPs only in the spring. It was my first song. I like made a Spotify account, whatever. And I saw the support from these girls, but it was a ballad. It was very, very sad and depressing. And obviously I have my moments just like anybody, but typically I try to be, like you said, like positive, upbeat, especially like online. So I did not like the idea of people pulling up my name and just singing this depressing, sad, heartbreak song. I was like, absolutely not. So I go into this writing session and I was like, we need to write something so fun. And I love nothing more than driving around in my car. So we're going to write something about it. And they were like, okay. So I also love big guitars and drums. And we're going to have that in there. And these two poor boys, Josh Ronan and Michael August, looked at me like I was a mad scientist with a plan. And luckily they were ready to get down with it. So we wrote Just Drive. And then I recorded it with Josh and ended up posting about it. And it got so much traction. Numbers I didn't even know you could get on these platforms. I started getting followers on Instagram and it got so many pre-saves. And all of a sudden I had all these numbers and all these people looking at me. And I was like, I do not know what to do with this. It happened just so quick. And I've been, doing it for so long. But the art side of it, not the marketing side of it. So all of a sudden I was trying to figure out what to do and records reached out and I talked to a couple labels besides them, but they were the ones that felt like family. And I don't know if it's, how you feel when you have a kid and you're like, oh, this is their name. Like, I just know it's right. But it felt like I can't imagine doing this with any other team. So I signed with them. I ended up signing publishing with Joe Fisher, who's involved in the label as well, and just doubled down on the family. And then we were off and running. It was crazy.
It's interesting too, because at the time that you signed, they were a fairly new record label, and they're not a big name yet in Nashville. They're growing for sure, but they're not Big Machine. They're not Sony. They're not Capitol, whatever the situation is. So it's great because I would agree with you. I would love to go with a team like that because I think it is family. Like they are going to work harder for you than maybe a big major label would, but it's also still a risk because they've got growing to do as well,
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, maybe if I was farther along and wasn't like on my first song or something, I would feel like I need somebody more established. But for me, I was kind of like, let's be scrappy with it. Let's figure it out together. Let's figure out what to do. And, because they're not a big company, they don't have all of the way they've always done it. They have what works. What do we want to try? What can we do that nobody else is doing and nobody's willing to do? No one has the time to do. And we've been able to do some really cool things. But also something that is, I'm learning more and more so crazy is I can pick up the phone and call the head of my label and he answers. And we can, brainstorm together and we can have meetings and really have everybody involved, not just the on the ground team, the first level or my contact people, but I can go and talk to anybody anytime because we are a small crew. So it's been really cool to feel like everybody's involved and everybody has their hands on it. And there's not this whole other side of the label I don't even know. I know everybody.
It's funny that you say it, and it sounds so much like a conversation I had many years ago with this guy that you may recognize. What's his name? Morgan Wallen. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. So I met him essentially on the day the ink was drying on his contract. Wow. And we were talking about Big Loud because at the time, Big Loud Records was Chris Lane, and that was it. And then they signed Morgan Wallen, and he was telling me the same exact story. It was like, oh my gosh, like this team feels like a family. I can call now. Over the years, obviously, as his career has grown and Hardy and all of them have grown, that label has become its own entity as well. So I'm sure things are still different over there now. But at the time, it was the same story.
They are a family. You see Ernest post about his, whatever crawfish boil he did or whatever. And literally all of them are over there. It's the whole Big Loud label. It's the writers. It's the artists. It is a family over there. And I think what's crazy, and I could see records doing too, is even with all the growth, maintaining the thing that made them so special. And it's so important to protect that, even though all these exciting things are happening. So it's really cool, and I think they're doing a really good job of it. And with all the new stuff they have going on, I have going on, I still feel like I can call anybody. So I'm proud of us for that.
Just Drive comes out. That's your debut single. Gets some traction, as you said, on DSPs and social media. But also, I saw Sirius XM picked it up. I know there were some radio stations around the country that played it too. Yeah. So you got a good, kind of start. And then it seems like, we've slowed down. We've worked on some new music here. How is that feeling for you to sort of you got that kickstart, but then it's like, okay, we got to back off this for a little bit now?
Definitely. I definitely got a taste of the juice, the water, whatever. And then I had to kind of go back and just really write songs I was proud of and wanted to put out in the world. And, I got to tour a lot last year. I was gone so much. I got my Southwest Companion Pass.
Yeah.
I got all my A-list things. But it's been cool to also take a second and remember why I started it, because it was about the craft, the love for it. So to be able to dive into that and do that has been so much fun. I have an EP coming out on May 19th. And I'm just so proud of every song on there. There's 2 more left to be released. We've kind of singled most of them out. But I just feel so proud of the music. It feels so honest. It feels like not leaving any details out. And the last EP I put out felt a little bit sugar coated. And even though the songs were fun and they were easy to listen to, and there's still so much fun to play live, and seeing the girls sing on is insane, this one feels like, all right, we had our like handshake introduction, surface conversation, and now we're really getting into the good stuff and the deep things and the under the surface. And it's been cool to see how releasing even just a couple songs in that world has made the connection with the listeners that much deeper, even like so quick. Even just playing Tortuga and seeing those girls and talking to them after, it's just different. It feels more special. It feels more personal. It's like I'm able to be there with them in their, on their bad days, on their good days, even though obviously I can't be everywhere all at once. A song can be. So it's cool to see that happen. And even though it's been awesome to write and record, I'm so ready to be back on the road and playing shows and seeing everybody and getting the band back together. Like, it's just going to be so exciting. So I'm excited to play CMA Fest, do some more shows throughout the summer. It's going to be a blast.
It kind of feels like your first EP was like the first date, and now we've got, we decided we'd like to hang out with you again and see where this can go. And now you're giving us the second EP, which is like the real meat and potatoes.
That is a wonderful way to put it. Yeah. It's like, when I said like I had an ex-boyfriend? Okay, so like actually the details of that are.
Yeah, right.
And it's, that's exactly how I should be putting it from now on.
There you go. I'm happy to help. And I will say this here, we're talking at the end of April, and I can say this with absolute confidence. Your song Always Never is my favorite song of 2023 to this point. That song is so damn good.
Thank you so much, man. That means a ton. I know you hear a lot of music. I'm really proud of that one. It was one that I wrote very in the moment of feeling things, and I hadn't done that a lot. I had loved to write songs like months after things had happened, or weeks, and this was one that I was writing with Josh Kerr and Sarah Buxton, and I had written with Josh Kerr one too many times for him to not be able to tell when I was, not okay. So I walked in and we started talking, and the song just fell out, and we knew it might be special. I mean, honestly, at first it was like, wow, this is everything I've been feeling. I didn't know how to say it, and I've said it, and I can move on with my life. And unfortunately, I forgot that I am an artist, and I have people that want me to release songs, and sometimes when I write the songs, we release them. So it's been cool to be able to heal from that experience, but also have this song that is so in the moment that it's able to be there in the moment with people when they're feeling it. So it's been really, really cool to see what that song has done, because I haven't released anything like that before, and it is really just so important. So I've been trying to write things more in the moment, but we'll see. But that means a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, now I know another reason why I love that song so much, because I mean, I'm a fan of yours, and I've always been a big fan of Josh. I knew he was involved. I didn't realize Sarah was on that song. And Sarah Buxton to me is like one of the most unsung heroes of Nashville. That girl is so crazy talented. And I'm glad she found her lane back in writing and doing backup vocals. I know she tried the career, the onstage career for a while. I don't think it worked out quite for her, but I'm so happy that she's still so involved with other people in writing, because she's ridiculously talented.
Oh yeah, I write with her in just a couple weeks, and I have like 2 other songs I just love that I've written with her. She is such like a mom and a girl in the way of that you're talking to her, and she really, really listens when you're talking. And I think that her ability to do that creates the most magical songs, because she is trying to get that authentic voice in there, and she's so good at it because she was an artist, and she knows what it feels like to have it there and what it feels like to not. So she really wants to fight for you getting that. But yeah, she is so talented. Her version of Stupid Boy kills me.
That was the first version I heard. I actually heard that before I heard the Keith Urban version. And when I heard Keith again, I was like, sorry, Keith. I was like, Sarah's got you.
But it's not Sarah. Yeah, it's insane.
So we've got the new EP coming out May 19th. Very excited for that. That's right around the corner now. Geez, it's only a couple weeks away at this point. And you're doing some stuff, CMA Fest. Like what's next? Like what's coming? What can we be excited for in the Erin Kinsey world?
Well, to be excited, definitely shows, and like even some more like opening slots and stuff are coming out throughout the summer. So follow me on the socials. Don't worry, I will tell you. But new music, and then honestly, the week after the EP comes out, we're having an A&R meeting to talk about new music again, because have songs that I've written, even the ones with Sarah, that I just can't wait to get out in the world. And I feel like I've been a little bit protective with my music recently because I know there's an EP coming. So I'm like, I want you to like that stuff. Please like that, because it's already uploaded and we can't take it down. So after that's out, kind of all of the fences, all the reins are off. So I'm excited to just start posting some demos, start posting some stuff. And I mean, anybody is more than welcome to let me know what they think.
I love to hear it. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully we'll get you through the Baltimore area here sometime soon.
I would love to come up there. I would love to.
One of the things that breaks my heart is that when we got a chance to meet last year, we met for lunch, and because of the situation, I wasn't actually able to get you to hear you perform live. I mean, it was great to have that time with you, but I need to see you perform in person.
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite thing to do. We got to get it in there. Yeah, but we did meet at this cool spot, and I got to meet your girl.
That's true.
Those are 2 points.
She'll be very jealous that she missed you today.
Oh, poor girl. She is so sweet. How old is she?
I say 2 1/4, because when you're that young, you can have quarter, half, and all that. So she's 2 1/4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, precious. Man, when are you going to get her a guitar?
She already has one. She's got like a ukulele that she strums on.
Oh, she's already running.
Who knows?
She's already going for it.
Oh, she knows all the lyrics to every Disney song. It's, what's kind of funny actually is she's kind of like a hype person on stage, because when she sings, she always emphasizes the last word in a line. So when you get to the end, it's almost like you've got someone behind you being like, yeah, every time. And it cracks me up.
I love this. That's amazing. Oh, I hope you're videoing all of this.
Oh, it's so much. It's ridiculous how much we
Good. I just got Disney Plus. I didn't have it. I had like Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I want to watch Monsters, Inc. And you can't do that without buying it on iTunes. Absolutely not. Or Disney Plus. And I watched that. I watched Brother Bear. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my element. So I'm right there with her. I'm learning all this too.
She's got to like we don't talk about Bruno. It'll be like we'll sing with her, and we'll be like, we don't talk about. She's like, Bruno. Like it's like having your own little hype girl.
We don't talk about him. We don't talk about him.
Right. Well, Erin, I'm such a fan of yours. I really, you've got some great stuff coming our way. I love the new music. I liked what you were putting out before, and I'm glad that you mentioned that you feel like you've grown since the first EP, because I hear that in the music too. Like I was listening to Just Drive this morning before talking to you. Great song, but when you compare that to what you've just put out, you can totally hear the difference. You can hear the growth. You can hear the change.
That means a lot. You get nervous that you're just caught up in your own world, and if you take a step back, that it's not going to look the way you think it looks. But so for somebody from the outside to say that means everything. And I'm such a fan of yours. You're like one of my favorite people that we got to meet last year. Just so genuine and kind, and this has been so much fun. So thank you so much for reaching out.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to the rest of the songs on May 19th, and I just can't wait till we get to see you again in person.
Oh, me too. I'm first flight.
Big thank you to Erin Kinsey for her time today. I had the chance to meet her about a year ago. I love being able to watch her career grow. After having that opportunity to meet her and just getting to know her and what a wonderful person that she is, I love it. I love seeing things working out for her. If you want to find out more about Erin or her music, you can find it all over wherever you stream your music and on social media. And thank you to all of you for checking out the Adult Education Podcast this week. I appreciate you. Until next week, be well.